Well, you know, it is an exciting time, Cheryl. Kids going off to college, university, and, it's a stressful time too. But there's, those that go into the universities, they sometimes can get overwhelmed. I know with my youngest daughter going to university, there's a lot of challenges, and she stayed at home. And I think magnifying that when they actually leave home and are in a whole new environment.
That's what I did. Yeah, absolutely. A new school. We need to talk about this. So joining us to talk about preparing young adults to face these challenges in a healthy way is registered psychotherapist Tara Lalonde, child and adolescent psychiatrist Dr. Jon Lee. Thank you so much for joining us.
It's great to be here.
Thank you for having us.
Now, I know that going away to college is stressful, but it seems like, I look at these stats, this is just a few. 89% of students said they were overwhelmed by all they had to do. 54% said they felt hopeless. 10% had seriously considered suicide. Is this getting worse than it used to be, or are we just talking about it more? Either of you can go ahead.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it is getting worse. Some of the research shows that it seems to be increasing. But then we're also talking about it more, which is very, very good. We want to be talking about it because there's lots of resources out there. So.
Definitely, I think there's a lot more awareness now, and people are much more forthcoming with their struggles, emotional and psychological difficulties. And so we're detecting more of these young people who would otherwise go undetected in the past. So that's a great thing. And on the other hand, I think the pressures and the demands of modern life, it's gotten a lot more complicated than when I was a young person, and that's just how it is.
I know, Tara, when our youngest daughter went to university, the first 2 years, there were suicides in each of those years. And from what I understand, they put in an extra break time in there. Is it worse now, or the pressures, or are we just talking about it and being more aware of it?
Well, again, I think it's a little bit of both. I think part of it is just our culture right now. We tend not to have the kind of coping skills that kids need. So they're not learning how to lean into their stresses and their struggles. They're actually avoiding wanting mom and dad to come in and help. And mom and dads really want to come in and help. So kids aren't necessarily learning the strategies. And then when they're off at university or college, they don't have that practice to really lean in and be able to sort out what's happening with this problem. How can I find solutions? Can I go and get resources and take those steps? So it just leaves them missing things.
So John, if you're a parent, and obviously parents watching this would be concerned about, okay, my child, maybe they're going to a different city, this is their first time away from home, they're in a really stressful degree. What are some of the signs that parents should be looking out for that maybe their child's struggling? Like college kids, they don't talk about it with their parents, right?
Right, definitely. I think that's a great question, and I think there's the medicalese answer of, low mood, sadness, suicidal thinking that people might express or leak out at the dinner table, whatever which way, poor appetite, poor energy, sluggishness. But ultimately, I think I'd be looking for signs of isolation. So things that used to engage Johnny or Molly, hockey or sports or going to youth group, etc., and all of that falling off the map for them. I think that would be a really important sign to take note of early on and to really start that conversation. Hey, what's going on? How's it going for you right now?
So Tara, and we've had lots of family members that have gone, off to university, Bible college, and various things. Some are just more vocal. Mom, I'm homesick. I want to come home. There's others that are because they're quieter. How can a parent, with being not over the top and trying to pry into what's going on, but it's important.
It is important. And this is one of those very difficult transition times for parents as well, because developmentally for their children is their time where they're trying to learn independence, trying to make their own way. So they're often not telling parents. So parents are going to want to be encouraging their children, looking for any of those signs if they're aware of them, encouraging them to do fun things. That might seem a little bit crazy, but don't just focus on your school. Go, have some fun, get out in nature, enjoy fresh air.
But what if they're more introverted, though? The extrovert, that's one thing. They get involved with sports and they're doing everything. But they're more introverted. They're overwhelmed. They've come from small town Manitoba, and now they're overwhelmed in this university of 35,000 people.
Being able to even encouraging the introverted students, because again, the isolation that you were talking about, don't pull in. Even if you don't want to get involved in a large group, look and see what resources are at your college or your university, because most college and universities now have counseling departments and lots of mental health resources. So just become aware of those. And social groups that might be talking about health and different things. There are lots of different things, even for the introverted kids, to be able to connect and seek help. Just communicating, you're not alone in this. And everybody, not everybody, but most kids, especially first year, are overwhelmed going to
Oh
university.
yeah, Cheryl had the stat there, right?
That's normal.
Yes.
And just being able to normalize that for your kids.
And not just
is
normal
huge.
for university, but it's just, in my experience, it continues throughout the rest of your life, that feeling of being overwhelmed with work, right? So those are skills that you have to learn. So, you know, if someone's watching and they're feeling overwhelmed, especially a university student, what are some of the things that they need to look out for and maybe do differently?
Right, that's a great question. I think what I would say is really learning to set that structure for ourselves. Like, I think one of the key things as teens, as adolescents, we want to brush up against limits and, you know, routine. And I think ultimately that helps us a lot, whether we're young or we're old, to have a certain, you know, bedtime, to have a certain time that you rise, to take care of your diet and your exercise, to be taking care of all of these very practical things so that the school tasks and the responsibilities have a certain structure within which to take place. And so managing your life and learning how to really decompress and manage your stress in ways that are unique to you, whether that's, you know, going to drawing for the introvert or listening to music or simply going out for coffee with friends and catching up and connecting in that real, tangible, kind of real way.
And so, John, there are these, you know, these services available for those that are struggling, depression and all the stress. Are these young folks taking advantage of it? Is the stigma then been maybe taken away a little bit?
Well, the research would suggest that up to 28% of young people before the age of 19 will ultimately meet criteria for depression, and only a quarter of those people will ultimately seek professional counseling or even psychiatric intervention. So the vast majority of young people are still not getting the help they need, whether that's because of limited access or lack of resources or simply just not knowing.
Maybe they're just so busy with studying.
That's what it is.
Not just that, you know what, I have a coworker, young guy that I work with, and he was dealing with anxiety and depression, and he started getting counseling, and then a lot of his friends and family shamed him and said, like, you know, what's wrong with you, and aren't I enough? They started owning it, like as if they weren't enough for him or something, and so he stopped. And, you know, there's nothing you can do about it if someone doesn't want help, except to continue to encourage them and be a listening ear, but, you know, you think of us as faith, like we're here to talk about that faith makes a difference too. And I know sometimes you need professional help. It can't just be like, go read the Bible. Right. But how does faith play into all of this mental health, you know, challenges that we face as a culture?
You know, we have a great resource in God, and it's funny to talk about God as a resource, but He's an ever-present resource in times of trouble. So when you're struggling with depression, even being able to recognize God is not rejecting you. God is not mad at you or saying you don't have a good enough faith or you're not a Christian because you're struggling with anxiety or depression. He understands our pain, and being able to go to Him with that and pray and know that even though I don't feel it, He's here with me and He is going to see me through this. And there's always hope.
Absolutely, I agree, recognizing that God is, you know, Jesus is a man of sorrows, acquainted with grief, and knowing that we have this kind of a leader and a shepherd who is available to us. We can call on him as believers. And within the church, I think, really also looking for those safe people who will listen non-judgmentally and really offer that support that I think, you know, people who belong to a church can really access in a tangible way that others outside might not.
Well, thank you both for joining us today, and some great insight, and appreciate your compassion and care. And you know, this again, Cheryl, is a very important topic. We'll continue to talk about it because it is the statistics show that it's just getting worse and worse and worse. And there are more resources, and we're grateful for that. But we also need to, you know, again, get rid of the stigma that if you're struggling with this, for somebody who maybe hasn't struggled in depression, you don't understand somebody going through that. Just as John was saying, come on, just go on with it. But that's not always, can be a terrible thing to say.
Absolutely. So we want to fight here at 100 Huntley Street, the stigma. If you've shamed somebody in your life and because you just don't get it, that's going through depression, I just want to encourage you, take a step back and just give a listening ear and try to understand, you know, we can be there for people. We can be part of that support that people need. We have resources right here. If you're going through that, if you're feeling overwhelmed, hey, call our prayer lines. That's why we're there. We're not experts like the two of you, but we definitely have people that will care and love you. That number is 1-866-273-4444. We'll be right back.